I'm Lennie Duffield. I'm the Executive Director of Huntington's, and today we've got Simon Lundy in to chat about his trek recently that he did from Perth to Darwin. So this is Simon.
Hello.
What made you particularly take on this challenge? What inspired you to ride from Perth to Darwin?
I had the idea for many years, probably a few years, and I guess just the work that you guys do for people's family, and not just people affected by Huntington's, but the families as well. I sort of felt like there was a lot of support for my mum, who was caring for Dad before she passed away, and so there was a trip that she went on, sort of thing, and sort of a little getaway to sort of have a break from things, and that sort of stuff, and the care obviously that you give to Dad. I just thought that I needed to sort of give something back to you guys, and sort of thought, what can I do? And the only thing I could come up with was riding a bike.
On average, how many kilometres a day were you travelling?
So average would have been maybe 150 to 200. So if I had the wind behind me, which I did on a number of days, then I was up around 250 Ks. So, and then when I was going against the wind, it's like, it halves your speed. So you're sort of looking at about 100 Ks. Almost at Victoria River Roadhouse. The scenery is pretty amazing.
I would imagine some of those treks are pretty long stretches, pretty isolating, lucky to come across someone, a salt bush, maybe an animal. What were those days like for you? I definitely felt isolated, and there were times where there was no cars coming past for hours. I guess at those times, especially at night when I was riding, it was sometimes 4 or 5 hours without a car or anyone. Still riding at night. I'll give you an idea of how dark it is out here. Just going to cover the light. It is pitch black. And there's a lot of self-reflection, I guess, and just thinking about things. I don't know, I guess it was a mental struggle as well, just being out alone, and there was no reception a lot of the time either, so I didn't have a phone, no way to contact anyone, so it was good and bad. So with some of those challenges, obviously, like you're saying, self-reflection and those challenges, what were some of the things that you didn't expect? And obviously, you're mentioning about, that mental challenge, but what were some of those hurdles that you probably, as best as you can, I'm sure you're prepared for punctures and food and those kind of things, but what were some of the things that you probably came across that you didn't expect?
Just the size of the country, I suppose, and the length that it was going to be. The first week was like, I was really keen, and then, after day 10, it's like, you've ridden 100 kilometres and you've got another 100 to go the same day. It's definitely a mental thing, more than physical.
So how did you get yourself through that? Like, how did you cope with that mental, strain, and how did you get yourself to keep riding? Because you obviously, after day 10, would have had still, so 28, 29, so 19 days to ride or more.
Well, I listened to a lot of audiobooks and podcasts along the way, and tried to listen to inspiring things, inspiring books or podcasts and things like that. So I think it inspired me to keep going. And then also just the messages coming through of encouragement, via Facebook or on the donation page, seeing donations come through, meeting people along the way, giving me encouragement and donations as well. And it was,
that got me through, definitely.
Brilliant. So saying that, so what are some of those? What were some of those memorable moments of your trip and places that you've seen or people you interacted with?
Making it to Broome was pretty good, yeah, because that was the first time I sort of got down on the beach with my bike, and I sort of saw getting to Broome as a hurdle. Originally, I thought that I would only make it to Broome.
Okay.
And, I wouldn't physically be able to go any further, but I got there and I was like, well, this is really cool. I can keep going. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. There is a rumour that there might be circulating on Facebook a image of you in your birthday suit, and that this was part of the trip, or
yes.
Are you happy to share?
Yeah, so I did say that I was going to do a 10-kilometre nude ride.
Okay.
So I said that to my family before I left.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure when, but and then shortly into the trip I said that if we hit $8,000 mark that I would ride for 10 kilometres. Yeah. And that happened. So I took my clothes off and rode 10 kilometres up the road in the nude. There was cars and people along the way for that. So I wasn't embarrassed, but it was it was interesting and different. So it was obviously a bit of interest on Facebook for it, and that was the idea, to just do something that would get attention, I guess. Yeah.
And have you had a chance to talk to your dad about the trip and what you've done and what you've achieved, which is just amazing?
I went and saw him when I got back, and told him what I'd done and how much had been raised. So he was obviously proud. Yeah, he wanted to know how things were going along the way. So Jodie took the 4 kids and saw him a couple of times, while I was on the trip, which was really good, and gave him an update kind of thing. Yeah. So I think he's pretty proud of what's happened.
I think it was courageous to ride 4,000 kilometres, unaided, no support. I'm sure what was your wife thinking when you first put the idea to her?
Oh, well, obviously she said it was crazy and that I shouldn't do it. And, I think everyone I spoke to said, you're going to get hit by a truck. Yeah. And what about crocodiles, and what about snakes, and what about spiders? And I don't know. I didn't really think that any of those things were an issue. So.
And were they an issue for you?
No.
Come across any interesting wildlife?
I saw a crocodile on the edge of a creek. I've got a photo of myself, just next to the crocodile, and saw some snakes. But you see that sort of, well, not a crocodile, but you see snakes and spiders around anyway, so it's not a big deal. Like being on the bike, you're going 20 kilometres an hour, so you have the opportunity to take everything in a little bit more than if you're in a car and you sort of speed past the frill-neck lizards and you speed past the weird creatures that are on the road.
So knowing that you've faced, and you're saying, some of the mental hurdles and that reflection and using the time to think, how has that sort of changed your perspective coming back home? Is that something now that you feel stronger to tackle things, that you kind of look at things in a different way because you've had this experience of doing this long journey that's quite challenging? It was mentally tough and you had to do it day in, day out without stopping for 4 weeks and 1 day.
Yeah, definitely. I think, when you have a challenge that maybe I thought was a huge thing, I kind of think, well, it doesn't seem as big now. Mostly like physical challenges or whatever, but it can be applied to anything really. That just because I'm not a cyclist doesn't mean I can do it, and you can apply that to anything else and say just because I'm not
good at this now, well, I can be, and I can achieve this thing that I want to do. Yeah.
I think that's also a great message for, I think, your kids and your family. I'm sure they're incredibly proud of you.
Yeah.
So I certainly know we were awed here in the office to think when we found out that you're riding a bike, unaided, no support, no car, there'll be periods of no phone contact that had you really thought about what you were doing. Can I say, though, we're awfully humbled that the fact that you wanted to do this for Huntington's and to recognise the support that this organisation has provided your family and continue to do so for several other families. I mean, we're just amazed at the support you've had, the money you've raised, and I think it's fantastic to get that awareness certainly out of there. Saying that, is there anyone particular why you can that you'd like to thank or acknowledge, for your trip and the support?
Well, I suppose my dad, for one.
And why your dad? Why you?
I don't know. He's the person that growing up gave me support with physical challenges like footy and even BMX, which is riding, and just always had faith that I would be able to do anything that I wanted. Yeah, definitely. So him for getting me through that mentally. Jodie for staying at home. I really saw it as a joint effort with her doing it, because I wouldn't have been able to do it without her at home with the kids. You guys gave me a lot of support beforehand and guidance on how to go about fundraising and what I would and wouldn't be able to do. So I suppose my kids, got me through a lot of it, talking to them and that. But also the people along the way that I met. I did meet a lot of people that had close ties to someone with Huntington's. Surprisingly, a lot of people that I met, I said, I'm doing this for Huntington's WA, and a lady that I met at Catherine at the hot springs, she said, my brother and sister and my father have died from Huntington's.
Oh gosh.
And wow,
here you are, Catherine, hot springs.
Yeah, so just I spoke to her for probably half an hour. And I don't know, I'm not saying it's not comforting knowing that that's happened to someone, but it's comforting knowing that there's other people out there experiencing something similar. Yeah.
And one last word that I guess our community can take away from this, a positive message. Is there one last word you'd like to share to those who may be, I guess, going through struggles themselves and stuff? Is there something you could pass on to them?
I suppose the way that I see it is that it feels good to support other people, and it feels good to be supportive, and like I said, it's rewarding to do something for others. And that's how I've felt with this. Huntington's is a genetic disease, and I haven't been tested for Huntington's yet, so for all I know, I may have it, and I might need that support. So just to stay positive, I think is the main message.
Beautiful. Well, I want to say on behalf of Huntington's to thank you very much for doing your ride, raising awareness, promoting us positively, which is wonderful, and look forward to see another 10 kilometres of you naked on a bike somewhere across Australia. So I think that may be something we look forward to or not look forward to. So I think that's wonderful. And so thanks. And look, I think the other thing is thanks for sharing and being honest and sharing about your family and your dad and particularly what you may face. I think that's really great.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Beautiful.
About 60 k's from Jurien Bay, and the sun's going down. I wanted to stop at Lehman originally, but legs felt pretty good, so I kept going. Beautiful sunset.